Okay. I know you've read or heard about that game, movie, or comic, blah, blah, but you haven't heard it from us. So chill, relax, let us talk all about it before you log off.
All right, I got it. Are you ready?
Yes.
What's up, everybody? This is Sir Aaron Carter and Emma Skies.
Hello.
And we are back again.
I'm so excited.
I know you're excited. And as soon as I was watching this, of course, we're doing the Cloak and Dagger, episode 7, Vikingtown sound.
Why can't you get that right?
It's backwards. It was getting me confused and everything like that. But we're doing this episode, and literally sitting there as soon as I was done watching the first time, I literally just texted Emma like, "This is like." Emma, I just watched
all
this.
Caps.
All caps.
All caps.
Because I was so excited. I was literally trying not to text you at the climax of the episode. I was just like, I know, I want to absorb all this. I want to take it in first, and then I will. And I was like, I'm watching this again. I have to watch it one more time just so I can kind of, because the first time I was doing notes and stuff like that with it, and the second time I was like, no, I want to take all of this in and just enjoy and watch.
Oh, it was so good. And then as soon as I finished, I texted you in all caps, and I was just yelling.
Yes,
yelling.
Yes. And I don't know. So this was actually the debut of the showrunners directing. Like, this was the first time he directed any of the episodes. Yeah, because I looked at I went and researched a little bit about the episode, not really in depth. There was an article, I want to say, on like Variety or something like that, that talked about him and how he got the trust of the actors, because they kind of didn't know which direction things were kind of going and everything like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just wanted to assure that they were, comfortable with the writing, because it's some really heavy stuff, especially for Tandy's character.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're the actors and I are decades apart, and I just want them to know that I understand, things that happen. So I was like, it was like, pretty cool. So anyway,
this one was written and directed by showrunner Joe Pakaski.
Yes,
so
Joe
as
Pakaski.
soon as you see that, like, okay, this is an important one.
Yeah,
because he was like, I'm taking the reins on this. Let me do me.
Yes, and he knocked it out of the park. Big time.
Hell yes, he did. Oh my God. So when I'm taking notes, a lot of times, if there's like a particularly good line or a line that's written particularly well that I really like, I'll write it down. I have so many.
Okay.
I wrote down so many of them because, like, this is just a well-written episode.
It is. It's very well written. We pick up from the last time. Of course, Tandy is still captured by Despair, and Tyrone is actually, so they pick up with actually like a kind of a musical with Despair playing trumpet inside of the Viking motel.
Let's talk about that for a second. You know, this guy is a solid dick villain because he's playing a trumpet in a motel
loudly.
Does not even have the decency to use a mute.
Nope.
Like, sir, and so that's how you know. That's how you know he's a villain.
Literally, when I was watching that part too, I was wondering. I'm like, so two things. He's playing it very loud, so he knows nobody is going to interrupt him. Like, nobody's going to knock on his door and be like, hey, can you turn that down? So that means he owns that spot. That's him. And two, it's literally just a flex on, like, I'm comfortable right now. Like, I have this, I've kidnapped a woman right here, and I don't care. I'm comfortable. I'm playing music while she's knocked out on drugs. And like,
nobody questioned that an ambulance pulled up and wheeled out an unconscious woman into a motel. Like, nobody questioned that.
So that's a testament of, like, how, I guess, his range of reach within that area. Like, he's comfortable. He's really, really comfortable. So he's playing, and Tandy wakes up from her, her drug-induced sleep. And they have their little back and forth between them, and he's still on the kick of everything she kind of saw in her head from the last episode. Like, that's real. Like, I shot him. He's dead. Like, but
she calls him on that shit quick.
Yeah, she does.
She does not believe that. She knows it's fake. So good for her. Even, when she's got no hope, which is the whole point of it. Like, she knows that was fake.
Yeah, she walks up to him, prepared to just use her powers, and like, I'm stronger than this, so I'm about to get out of this.
Slash his throat open.
But then you find out that her powers do not work right now, and he's like, yeah, you need hope for that, and like, she has none. And then Leia and the big bodyguard enter the room, and they kind of shut that all down. We switched to Ty with Bridget at the crime scene from Leia's quote unquote ex-boyfriend. I'm not sure if there actually were, they were just. So they're going around. Ty's picking up evidence with his fingerprints like an idiot.
That is exactly. I said, by all means, Tyrone, just put your fingerprints all over this crime scene.
You're already in trouble for a murder already. Let's go ahead and.
Like, they are looking for you actively.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
So he picks up the shovel, the bloody shovel, by the way.
Yes.
So like, even if there was a worst case scenario and Tandy was dead, you just have your fingerprints now on one of the murder weapons. Like, okay. So anyway,
this was where I wrote down one of the lines that I really liked, because Bridget says because he talks about, this Tandy was here or something. And Bridget's like, oh, that's weird. I thought you guys were a package deal. And sometimes packages get damaged along the way. And I was just like, oh, that hurt. I felt that one. That was so sweet.
Yeah,
that's so horrible.
That was good though, and you can see kind of like him putting it on himself at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is my fault. Last time I saw her, she was working some angle, and I told her, maybe I was better off on my own. And then
like he doesn't say, we had a fight. He doesn't say she did this. He says, I said this, and that's why this happened.
Yeah, he puts it all on himself.
My baby boy.
And then he, vanishes when Bridget, who's just kind of back into kind of just the role of being a police officer, I guess. Like,
I guess so. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's confused.
So he bails out, and we switch to where are we at? Despair playing the trumpet. Ty and Bridget investigate the crime scene. Tandy's
I think it goes back to Tandy and Despair talking. Because that's when she starts talking with him about what he does and how he kidnaps these girls and all the pain that he's caused. And I have it written down here, like, he specifically says, I don't cause anyone's pain.
Like, it's already there. I was
like, don't you though, sir? Yeah, don't you though?
I can see what he thinks he means. Like, hey, you already have this pain within inside you. I'm just the one that kind of brings it more up to the surface. But he's still wrong. He is causing.
Oh, he's 100% wrong. Because it's not like he's showing them their own memories. Like, he's showing them alternate realities, like their deepest, darkest fears.
Yeah. He's definitely playing the bad guy role, hands down.
But he feels like he's doing not necessarily the right thing, but that he's not doing anything wrong. He's like, I'm not causing anybody else's pain, and I'm doing this, to get rid of my own. And he says something. He says, the world saddled me with pain, and sometimes I just need to share it.
Yeah, and he was like, that's America. And I'm like, what? Like, where are you getting all this from? And it's criminal, or not criminal, it's, major villain talk. That's literally what it is. And that's what I kind of liked it, though. I'm like, I'm glad that he's got this, I'm innocent, type of thing. And then you can tell from like the previous episodes when he was talking about, I help 90% of the people that come through that door. He thinks he's, that's his little allowances. Like, if I help all these people.
He has conviction that what he's doing is fine.
Yeah.
And that's, that's why you're not going to get through to him by like telling him, oh, you're a bad person and you should stop what you're doing. And he's also not just like evil for the sake of being evil, where you just have a villain that you're like, oh, this villain's evil because we're telling you that he is.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. But like, there's substance there.
And that makes for a good villain. Definitely. Hands down. We switch over to Ty's mom, who still has Connors tied up in the kitchen while she's preparing a meal. Because she says that helps her think and everything like that. She found herself cooking even whenever Ty's brother,
when Billy disappeared.
Yeah, exactly. And she
has this really great back and forth with him.
Yeah.
About what basically the dilemma that she's in, where she's like, on the one hand, I know that you're the best hope for my currently alive son to not be chased by the police anymore.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you murdered my other son and I want to kill you for it. And she says, I fucking love this. She says, I'm going to cook and we're going to talk and we'll see.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's a good little balance to figure out like where she is in her head. Cause it's just like, yeah, you may have the keys to help my current son, but you did a terrible thing to my first son, like life-changing thing to our entire family type of deal. And I don't like you at all because you slid for so long And then
I loved her whole thing here. Like, this was a good episode for her. That actress is phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah. And because they cut between the three of them, basically. They cut between Ty, they cut between Tandy, and they cut between Ty's mother. And this was definitely more, it went more in detail on her feelings about everything, the mother's feelings. Mm-hmm. You got a little bit of that in the first season when she explains to Tyrone. I think he comes back after something happens and they have a one-on-one, and she kind of explains how she felt when the brother died. But this kind of goes into a little bit more of how she's dealing with everything. And I was like, this is pretty good. Like, he, you get to see the effects of this man's, his deeds. So Tandy meets what's her name, Dell, for the first time, and Dell is another one of the hostages that Despair has in this motel. And Leia is there introducing Dell and kind of telling Tandy, like, hey, this is how things go, nobody's stuck here, nobody is a hostage here. And then she opens the door and is like, Dell, you can leave anytime that you want. And
that was such a good moment for Tandy, because she's been kind of like, in Tandy's eyes, I feel like, and in most of their eyes, like, when these girls are kidnapped, like, it's kicking and screaming. It's constantly having them drugged. It's keeping them tied up. It's like what you would think of in a kidnapping. Mm-hmm. And she has to come to terms with the fact that these girls are choosing not to leave because they've been manipulated, because they've been brainwashed. It's not as easy as fighting your way, opening a door and letting them all run out, because they're not going to.
Yeah, because I mean, from the outside, it's pretty much black and white. Oh, people are being taken by, by their will. When she went to the first place, to like the drug dealer's place, and Ty teleported in and you saw people in cages,
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer. It's like, hey, you guys are being taken and you want to be free. That's black and white. This one, you see the Stockholm syndrome, where she's just like, these people take care of us. Yeah, we may have to do a couple of bad things, but they keep us protected. They have shelter for us. They take care of our needs. Which I think that's what she said, things that we need. And then Tandy was like, you don't know what you need. And I was like, ooh, this is getting heavy here. This is getting real heavy here.
Well, and they make sure to tell all these girls, like, nobody's looking for you, nobody's coming for you. Like, they target people that are in crisis, which is very much, realistic of sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And the girl says, when you have nobody, nobody's going to save you.
Yeah.
So like, these girls aren't waiting for somebody to come get them. They're not hoping that somebody's looking for them, because they know they have no one, or as far as they know, they have no one.
They're making them dependent on them. Like,
yes.
Hey, nothing out there is out there for you. We are your family now, basically, even though they didn't even go that far, which I'm actually glad they kind of kept away from that family. And then you kind of really do see, like, hey, well, later on anyway. So Tandy's being explained the rules or whatever, and she's already still kind of looking for a way out and everything like that. But we cut to after that whole situation with Dell and Tandy, we go back to Ty, who is meeting the counselor for the first time, aka Despair.
Yes.
And Ty goes in like, no, I'm not buying things that you're trying to sell, basically. And I think Ty was going in for the "let me see your darkest fears" thing.
Yes,
when he went for the handshake.
Yeah, so he tries to see his fears, and then I was super confused at first. Like, it took me a minute to catch on, but like, he tries to see his fears, and obviously that doesn't work on Despair.
Yeah.
And he turns it back around on him and uses it to get into Ty's head.
Yeah, and we get a little more inkling on how his powers work, a little more definition on how his powers work when he pulls out the record that says Ty and Tandy, and you see him start to play it inside the little dark zone that they go into, because he's back in the record shop now.
Yes.
And he's playing it, and he's kind of still speaking to Ty out in the real world, like, you guys are two different people, like once she doesn't see a use for you, you're useless to her, basically.
Yeah, he's like, she's a privileged white girl, you are a phase in her life. If you did any of half the things that she did, you would be behind bars. She is halfway across the country. She's 2 buses out by now.
Well, before he went to that one, because Ty even was fighting back a little bit, he was like, we're the exception, we're not the rule. Tandy's not like that. So I
have that one written down too. Yeah. I love that.
So like, he gives a little fight back in this like power or this battle of the minds type of thing. And then when he flips it to side B, which is Tandy doesn't care about you, then he flips up his kind of whole tactics of how he's trying to attack, quote unquote, Ty, with his, with his words. And and then it's more of a like, she's probably on a bus, gone now. She's left. You're kind of better off without her, type of thing. And that kind of sticks more with Ty. So I'm wondering if it's just like, does he have to keep playing side B, or can he actually accomplish his goals from just playing the record anyway? And it's just all about seeing which tactic works, because it kind of goes back to the previous episode where he had to try different tactics just to break down Tandy. So maybe actually that's what it is. And yeah, he has to just keep trying and keep poking and prodding until one of the little tactics sticks. Yep. So Ty leaves a little down.
Despondent.
Yeah. And he kind of goes off, a little mopey and everything like that.
But who's been watching all of this happen in the dark zone?
So in the corner, like through other records in the window and everything like that, you see Mayhem peeking in and just watching everything go down.
Yes.
And so didn't know if she escaped from like 2 episodes ago or what happened, because she just has been AWOL this whole time, right? Like she wasn't in the last episode at all.
No.
And you find out that she's still in that little dark zone. Like she's just kind of creeping around like a creep. She was literally that Soon meme right behind the records. So
she's at Jim from The Office.
Yes.
She's behind the blinds.
Yes. Yeah, it was creepy.
So she's watching all of this go down. She doesn't know who this guy. She doesn't know who Despair is. She just sees somebody else in Ty's head in this area, in this record store that she's seen before with Tandy.
Yeah.
So she knows that there's something going on here, and she doesn't understand it, but she's gonna go fuck shit up and figure it out.
Well, I think she understands a little bit because she has she knows the records that are being played. Like she was with Tandy when all that was going down, and she knows the bad stuff that happens from that. So she figures something's happening, like somebody's messing with things, like definitely big time. Tandy, is this when Tandy tries to escape? Let's see. Tandy learns more about the captive girls. Oh yeah, that's whenever Dale gets more character development, whenever she talks about how her father was the hammer, her mother was the nail, and her father left. And you kind of get the backstory of Dale.
Yeah.
And Tandy kind of discovers a way out through the bathroom window when they're talking to each other.
Yes.
But then they switch back to Ty's mom interrogating more with Connors, and Ty's dad knocks on the door, and he kind of was like, hey, Connors has escaped. And
she's like, I know.
Well, yeah, 2 steps ahead of you, sir. And then he looks like
literally 2 steps to your left.
Like, what is going on? And then they go and have it out up on the steps.
She goes, you're right, we need to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
While he's tied up in her fucking living room.
And they just kind of have it out there while this man is kind of tied up. But they kind of switch from that real quick, because I know after the notes I wrote after is they switch back to Despair, still kind of going through Ty's his like memories and stuff like that.
Yes.
And he finds Miss Foulier's. Is
that how you say her name?
Folier's? Fosoulier?
I got no idea.
Fosoulier?
I did not know her name until I saw it written down this episode.
Well, yeah, see, I wrote it down from the closed caption, because the second time I watched it, I watched it with closed caption. So Fosoulier or whatever. But it's Evita's aunt, basically. And he turns over one of the records and sees Evita's aunt, and I assume sees how she has helped Ty and kind of how she's been a guiding factor in teaching him about the vase and the voodoo. And we figure out that the drawing was a Vevey. You were right, it was a Vevey. Yeah.
And I had been looking at it, I was like, what is this children's drawing?
And it's like everywhere. It's everywhere inside the little dark zone, and it's kind of just and it's it's connected to Despair. So I mean, it's kind of a thing where maybe if you go back and look at times where he had influence in that, and if there was a sign, maybe the cast or crew or something like that put the little symbol somewhere in there, that you can be like, oh, this is kind of more of his influence in this area. But I don't know. So he goes to Evita's aunt, and he inquires about the symbol. He says, I have headaches, I'm looking for a way to get rid of them. And Ty said that you can help me, or maybe you can help me.
And she doesn't buy shit.
She was really onto him. Like, since he came
He's
to the
got
door.
nothing.
Came to the door. She wanted to find out more about him, so they go and have their little discussion. And I think it was all surface talk, because he must have, like, when they come back to them, she still, I don't buy any of this type of stuff. But so he must have just, really just laid on the acting role really thick, to where it's like, you didn't tell me anything personal about yourself, so who the heck cares? Like, but after their first meeting, and they switch right back to Tandy trying to make her first escape.
Yeah.
And
so she's trying to get Dell to come with her.
Yeah.
And Dell won't leave, which, is pretty indicative of that situation. And she's just like, well, I can't stay. So I'm going, but I'll come back for you.
Yeah.
And she makes it out. She makes it out of the building. She sees a bus coming. She sees the bus station. It's like 50 feet in front of her.
Right across the street. Yeah.
And she gets caught.
Exactly. The big bodyguard steps in the way, brings her right back up to the room. And then she's like, you ratted on me. Like,
yep.
She would have been gone and clear. But Dale, of course, a victim of Stockholm. She's, quote unquote, loyal to the people that are there, Leah or whatever, and Despair. So she rats on her, and then she gets brought back up. And so Leia was like, you got to punish her, basically. And she makes Dale do it, kind of this whole, what does she say? She's like, you have to be the head.
Mama bird.
Yeah, the mama bird. Yeah, that's what
And she mama bird drugs her.
She does. I didn't know what was going to happen there. I really didn't know what was going to happen
Tandy didn't either. So one of the things that I liked about this scene is that the guy's covering her mouth, and he keeps letting up to let her breathe.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Because I talk every time you see that in a movie when they're covering their mouth and they're always covering their nose, I'm like, you're gonna suffocate that person. But like, it's the movie, so and I was like, thank you, somebody finally addressed this. Like, just this little thing, like that, it meant a lot to me. I thought it was very good. So shout out to that direction.
Whenever he was like letting her breathe, it was kind of like after the fact. Whenever I saw everything, I was like, oh, she had no choice but to inhale what was coming out of Dale's mouth, the drug or whatever. So
that's pretty indicative of trafficking or kidnapping in general, is making victims hurt other victims, because you make them responsible.
Yes.
So it's just another layer of like, why, what do you mean you're going to run away? Like, you did all these horrible things. You're going to go to jail for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Like, it's making the victims responsible for other victims.
You see that in those situations, like they just have it like with the girl from Smallville now, how she got involved when she was in that cult and everything like that. So like, yeah, it's some real thing. And then, like I said in the beginning, I was like, this feels like the director, I think he knew. He was like, this is heavy situations we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
And he handled it well. Like, he really did handle it well. So after she's caught and she's kind of knocked out, in where are we at? We
go back to Ty's mom and Connor's. And I don't know if I forgot, but I don't remember that they didn't have Billy's body.
No, yeah, I don't remember that either. Because whenever she starts bringing it up, I was like, I don't remember them ever saying that they never found anything in the water.
Yeah, because basically Connors is going through everything that happened that night. And one of the things he's like, so we found a dummy body at the bayou and passed that off as Billy. I didn't remember that they didn't have him. But
it's interesting how the mom, she's like, I need to hear everything step by step. Like, not just how the night went down, but how you cleared yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do when you called your uncle? What did he do after you called him? Like, what steps she wanted to know everything about how everything was covered up. And I was like, that's cool. Nobody wants to just, get the bare minimum, like, oh yeah, I did this. I got, let off. Like, if you're a lawyer, you need all the facts, you know? So whenever you take this guy to court, I know how every little bit of criminal activity went down. So after the dad leaves, because Connor's trying to escape as well. We just glazed that over. Like, he tried to grab a knife.
I was watching that and I was like, he probably just really needs to pee.
Probably, because he definitely didn't get to go to the bathroom in the beginning, and it was like nighttime by the end of everything. So I'm like, either he peed on himself or he's just really good at holding it in. So
he didn't even want to get out of the house. He's just like, I just need to get up and pee.
That would have been an interesting scene if he broke through and then he just came out the bathroom and was like, I told you I had to go to the bathroom like 4 hours ago. That's crazy.
So we go from that exchange back into Ty's mind, dark zone, dark place, where Mayhem is kind of going through some stuff.
Yeah,
and she's exploring and she's messing with the records and she turns it off.
Yeah,
because
he's sitting down
on Ty in the real life.
Yeah, he's sitting down in like the little trolley or whatever, and you can see that he's kind of down, looking out the window and kind of all in his thoughts and everything like that. So when Mayhem does turn off the record, it kind of little snaps him out of that, and then she finds that Perfect Life record, from the previous episode, and she starts playing that. Now this is the part that I was confused about, and then so as soon as she starts playing that, of course his mood changes. He probably gets all the nice, sweet thoughts in his head of everything that could be great. And then all the little ballerinas come on to the trolley and like kind of just sit around him. But I'm like, are those real? Or are those figments of his imagination?
Yeah, I think they were real. I think it was just a little bit of like an on the nose moment.
But then there's two on the nose moments then.
I thought the first one was very on the nose.
Oh, and then later, when she plays the other record, we'll get to it, because the same kind of situation happens.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, what goes on in that Shadow Realm record store affects, the mood or the psyche of the person somehow. Yeah. They're connected.
It's like despair walks into their head, puts on the record, and leaves. Yeah, and it just keeps playing.
Yes. And it really, takes a mental effect on people. And so after she plays the record and he, kind of is like, he gets a better mood about himself. He teleports himself off the little trolley, and they switch to Leia and Tandy in kind of like Tandy's in kind of like a vegetated state, where she can, she can see and she can speak and stuff like that, but she just cannot move. Mm-hmm. And you hear Leia talking about her life
playing
a little bit. Up. Yeah, she's playing dress up.
When you got to like the playing dress up, that's when I started freaking out. Like I knew where it was going, and like you kind of knew anyway, but like that's when I was like, oh, they're really gonna go for this.
Yeah,
I started losing it.
I didn't know what to expect either. I was really like, oh, okay, this is where the series takes that heavy turn. Yep. This is where we take that heavy turn. So she's telling her about how what was it? How power changed her. How despair changed her as well. What was it? Was she working with fear or was she working with power? I can't remember.
She was talking about the power that her pain gave her.
Oh, pain. Yes. Okay. That's what it was. Yeah.
And Tandy's like, that power, like, that's not real.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100% not real.
But at the same time, from Leah's point of view, like, who's the one that can't move right now?
Yeah.
Who's got the power right now? You want to tell me that my power is not real?
But I think Leah's under that same type of Stockholm.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know if because I don't think she's like she's a willing participant by now, but I think it's just over time, Yeah. That's how she's become. So she picks out the little dress for Tandy's first date, quote unquote.
Oh God, that's no.
Well, I mean, they call them dates, Johns, and I'm just using the terms. That's all I'm doing. So where we at? Leia gets her ready for her first day. Mayhem inside the record store continues.
And she's just fucking shit up. She is in classic Mayhem fashion. Yeah. Like she's throwing shit around. She's breaking things. She's just like, doing whatever. Until
she can find like whatever she's looking for. And just like disregard to any of the, like if it was a real thing where it's like all these things that you're breaking are like memories, she didn't care. Everything is just smashed. She finds a record that has like an ambulance sound on it, and she starts playing that for Ty. And then at that moment in the real world, Ty, is like crossed.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, now and I was like, is this another figment of his imagination? Because like 3 ambulances just cross him, like in the real world. Yeah. And so I'm like, is this like and that's what made me think back to the ballerinas. I'm like, were they real too? Or is all this just kind of helping him, come to this idea that he comes up with, and he gives Bridget a call and tells her, or asks her about the ambulances again. And he's like, I got an idea. And he starts to, before that, they switch right back to Miss Foulier, Evita's aunt.
Yes.
And this is where they kind of ramp up their conversation between her and Despair. And she tells him that he's on the cusp of becoming a god / Loa. And he asks, he's like, well, what's the symbol mean? And she was like, I don't think I'm ready to tell you that.
Yeah, she's like, I don't think I want to tell you that.
Yeah.
Because I got nothing from you.
And he gets a little forceful, and he's like, well, you know, this is about to go down. So he grabs her just to use his ability. And when he goes back, he kind of sees the carnage that Mayhem has been doing.
I love it. He's like, what the hell is this?
Because it's like a mess everywhere.
It's like, who the hell did this?
And then I love this scene too, because then the camera pans over and she's just sitting there and she's like, I was about to ask you the same thing. And she's calm with it. Like, just really calm.
She doesn't give a shit. She knows exactly what's going on. And he's confused. Yeah. She knows, like, oh my God.
And he's like, are you touched too? She's like, no, I'm just basically just woke. Like, I'm just more, I'm more conscious of what can, you know.
Yeah. And she's like, well, everybody is. I just know how to tap into it.
Yeah. And so she's kind of like looking through the records and everything too. She's putting all the pieces together. And she notices the Vevey on the door. In the same record room, and they go and discuss things, and she's like, other people have become Loas before, and you know, it's not a key to something, this is a lock to becoming a Loa. And she's like, you know, maybe you shouldn't open that door. And he, of course, you know, is like, well, if I'm a Loa, I can't feel pain, you know. That's, you know, basically he's presented with the opportunity to become a very powerful being. And she's like, all right, he's like, well, why wouldn't I want to open this door, you know? And she's like, well, look at all this pain and suffering that you've cataloged and toyed around with. If you had this power and look how you abused it, what would you do if you...
That was another one. I wrote that one down too. That was a good line.
Yeah, it was like, what would you do with like that power? Like, that's crazy. Like, no, I wouldn't tell you how to unlock this or even give you any type of inkling to all this type of stuff because you're crazy. Right? Like, you have lost your mind.
Yeah, she says, if you can't be merciful when you play God, what kind of God are you going to be when you're not playing anymore?
Good line. Good
that was
line.
Solid.
Good line.
I love her.
And so through that one, let's see, they have their whole conversation there. They switch back to Ty. He hijacks it, or he paints a giant Vevey on the roof of whatever building he's in. And he kind of, they don't like, because normally the last time he did that with the gunpowder, didn't he say, like, what did he say? He like, take me to Connors, basically, right? And that's what took him to him.
Yeah.
So this one, he just, I guess it takes him to the ambulance, and he like appears right in front of it, hijacks it. He's like, you know, where's, you know,
where is she?
Yeah, where's
Rachel?
Exactly. Yes, another Batman moment. And excuse me.
I was so hype. I was like, get him, boy, get him.
Then they cut back to Tandy and Dale, and Dale is like putting makeup on her. You know, she's still
Dell is patting her face with an empty makeup sponge is what she's doing. That makeup sponge had nothing on it.
Well, think about it.
It was
maybe
nothing.
Maybe it was kind of a symbol of how hollow that whole situation that she's in. She thinks that there's more to it, and that's you know, it's makeup. It's fake. It's not real. Like, it's just,
they just didn't put anything on it because they didn't want her to mess with her makeup.
I'm gonna research that too after this. I'm like, maybe that was symbolic of something.
Because that's like a thing in movies all the time. Anytime there's any scene of a woman putting on makeup, there's nothing on the brush that she's using.
Well, because they don't want to change the makeup already placed on them. Yeah, so I understand that. But they have their conversation about hope there, and for a small second, it seemed like Tandy broke through. And then Dale just continues to brush her face and like, you look so pretty. And I was like, oh, she's lost her. Like, that's it.
I was so uncomfortable, but like not in like a way where like the show did it poorly. It's like, you're supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like it was directed well. So
and you find out that one of the reasons that she, you know, doesn't have hope is that, you know, she's like, well, there was a group of girls that were supposed to come here and they all died.
Oh, yeah.
Like, all of them are dead. And Tandy is asking him, she's like, were they at this place? And she's like, you know, how do you know that? And Tandy's like, they're fine. They're not dead. They're safe.
Yeah.
We got them. Like, I was there. They're not dead. They're lying to you.
That was a small thing where she thought she got through to her. And then she just kept brushing away and just like, yeah, you're a pretty girl now. And I was like, ugh. they're really gonna go forward with all this. I was like, oh, this is terrible. Then you cut back inside Little Darkstone with Evita's aunt and Despair, and you see that Evita's aunt has already noticed mayhem in the cuts, like looking through the window, ready to pounce, because like her hand was on the door, ready to open it wide open and rip whoever Despair open. But she kind of is like looking back and forth, and they're having their conversation, and Evita's aunt is like, "Well, are you going to show me mercy?" And Despair is like, within context, and he said, "Pick any memory you want." So she picks kind of, I guess, the first time that she saw Evita coming back from the hospital with her mother. Yeah. And she plays that record, and you have a conversation there that I'm curious about, because she asks if Evita has the veil. Yes. And her mom was like, look at her eyes. What do you think? And then she says the doctor, said something, but not about Evita. And I'm like, well, okay, what's going on? And so
I missed that part.
All the while she's playing that record, Despair is playing like a heartbeat record on the other side of her. And he's
for Rhonda Ellis, who I assume is Evita's mom.
I thought it was the aunt.
No, because it was somebody's memory, somebody named Rhonda Ellis.
Oh, okay. Well, he's slowing down the heartbeat. He's slowing it down, and you hear it, and right when he's doing all that, it looks like Mayhem's about to pounce in, but Vita's aunt is like, no, this is my, and he's like, you don't look scared. She's like, no, this is my path. Hey, this is what happens. This is what happens. So he slows it down to a stop, and it stops both of their records. And then it's just presumed that, she's dead.
I hope not.
Which is, I was just like, oh, okay. So
I really hope she's not dead.
I was like, he can actually kill people.
Because we didn't get a look at her in the real world.
No.
So we don't know the repercussion.
Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't even, it doesn't give us a real look in the real world. Definitely. But yeah, that was an interesting conversation that I heard on the record. Because it was, she said, what did the doctor say? And then she was like, it's not about Evita. And so I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I hope they explain a little bit more of that later. And then what the veil is. Like, is that another power or something like that?
I took that to mean like the veil over your sight, like the veil over everybody's sight that keeps them from seeing basically what the aunt sees.
Okay. I mean,
but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? We cut back to Ty's mom interrogating Connors, and this is when they have she has kind of her breakdown moment of she's just, I don't like Connors. That's what she says. She's like, I just don't like you. She's like, you represent everything that's kind of kept us back and everything like that. And then she kind of breaks down, and she's like, all I want is just to bury my son, And Connors tells her, in a pinch, we buried him at the fairgrounds in a horse stable,
Oof.
And she kind of gathers herself, because she kind of got the information she was looking for. And she just goes right back into cooking. She's like, she doesn't really, I don't think she says anything, right? She just kind of really does just pick up the tray and then
she just says thank you, and then she goes back to cooking.
Yeah, because she was on the verge of killing him. She broke down.
Yeah, she was.
And then she got the information needed, and, right back to cooking. But I was like, it was a good scene. It was a really, really, a really emotional scene for her character and everything like that. Then we go back to like a really quick, because like they have a song playing, and I didn't really pick up the name of the song, but we see Evita's aunt on the ground in the Shadow Realm area, but there's a record playing with a Vevey on it, and it's playing at the end of it though. Like, it's the end of the record. That. As it's spinning, it's not playing any music, and Evita's aunt is on the ground. That's why I was like, maybe she is dead. But like,
I know, I really hope she's not, but I feel like she probably is.
But it could be one of those, like, what's her name, Mina's dad type of thing.
I was just thinking that, like, maybe she's just catatonic.
Yeah, so she could just be
in the real world.
Yeah, so I don't know though. We'll have to figure it out next episode, definitely. But this is like a montage scene, so they're kind of shooting all around. So they go from there. They go to Tandy sitting on the side of a bed in the motel, and you see Leia outside with a John. I'm guessing negotiating prices or something like that, or whatever they do. I was just like, yeah, this is probably gonna be the big cringe moment right here.
Yeah.
But they switched to Dale doing laundry, and the security guard is like stuck at the vending machine that stole his candy bar, but she sees his cell phone kind of hanging out,
which is unlocked
jacket.
and open.
Yep, because that's how comfortable these criminals are. Emma, that's how comfortable they're like. We have everybody so brainwashed. There's no way they would grab our phones. Like, what's wrong with you?
Mm-hmm.
So they switch from that to I believe Ty driving recklessly.
Yeah, he is.
In an ambulance.
He doesn't care. He gives no shits. And he's like, I know where I'm going now, and I'm going.
Yes. And so
it's my boy.
Dale. Then they go back to Dale finding out the truth from, I guess, Googling herself, or maybe Googling the missile girls.
Because she took the phone, and instead of calling the police or calling anybody to help them, she opened Google.
Well, remember,
and searched up these girls.
Remember, she's still got that Stockholm syndrome, so she's not thinking to call help. She's just looking for answers. So when she gets the answers from, whatever media source had the story about the girls, she is confronted by Leia, and they kind of have it out in the room that's next to, or I guess close enough to Tandy. So Tandy is still kind of catatonic on the bed while the John is, coming in, and he puts the money on the dresser and stuff.
Oh my God. I couldn't. I was like, I don't know how far this is going to go. I was like crying. Oh my God. That was horrible. It was horrible.
You get the conversation between Dell and Leah in the next room. She's like, you lied to me or whatever. And she was like, we're your family. She did say it at that time. Yeah. She's like, nobody out there is looking for you. She's like, even if you go out there, are they going to accept you? Or are they going to take you back and stuff like that? She's like, you have nothing. And then Dale was like, I have hope. And then literally at that moment, Tandy's powers
starts glowing.
Come back. Like, dude is standing over her, and she's like starts glowing. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is dope.
It's about to go down.
I started getting chills, no lie. I was like, okay, this is sick. And like,
so I don't have notes after this point because I was so invested in watching it that I couldn't, I just threw my phone to the side. I was like, oh my God.
See, that's why I
got nothing.
That's why I had to watch it twice, because I was like, I wanted to absorb this moment. So she has a blade in her hand and she's holding it up, and she's like, hope is back, basically. Yeah. And at that moment, Ty careens into the motel.
Yeah, he does.
And smashes in the front.
I appreciate the sentiment and how dramatic and cinematic it is, but what if there were some hostages in that room that he just what the fuck, Ty?
This episode definitely said that Ty does not care about the law at all.
No.
He's picking up, putting his fingerprints all over crime scenes. He's
what are you gonna do? Arrest me?
Exactly. He's whatever. But it was smooth how he just smashed into the front and teleported out, and just put his hood on and just walked off.
Can we just talk about this fight scene with Ty using his teleport?
Yes,
oh my God.
Yes. So Ty gets sucker punched by the big bodyguard, and then they just kind of go at it, just throwing hands back and forth. And then the bodyguard gets the upper hand on him and just tosses him. And then Ty teleports mid-air and uses that momentum to come back.
Oh my God.
And
I was fucking yelling.
I was like, this is dope. This is dope.
This is everything we've wanted from Cloak since the beginning of the show.
Exactly. Full-blown superhero mode on this one. And then, so you cut back to Dell and Leia arguing, and Dell is trying to grab her and you can't go anywhere. And then, out of the back wall from behind Leia, the dagger just rips through the wall, and she just choke holds her through it. It's so
that
dope.
Was so fucking cool.
And then you see
oh my God,
she's just kind of full blown. I got my powers back, and she rips through the wall, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And Dale's like, I'm cool. And then she just kind of runs through the Oh, no. First, she cuts open the door, and she's like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to mop. And she goes through.
Yeah, she is.
And she just starts breaking in other rooms.
Yeah, she just cuts the locks on every room she passes by.
Yeah.
And then my favorite, one of the fucking coolest things, because I love the look of it and I love how smart Tandy was to do it, when she throws a bunch of daggers into a wall to weaken it so she can jump through it.
And what's so dope about that, that's like a
cool.
full-blown comic, like, rip out. Like, she's never in the whole thing have thrown multiple daggers at this time. And, like, whenever you see her in the comic books, she's like just tossing multiple ones at one throw. Like literally, I have a Hero Clicks little miniature with dagger, and it's her throwing 3 daggers at a time. Like I'm like, she doesn't do that. She just kind of uses it as a knife.
But apparently my D&D character can't do that.
I don't think your D&D character is strong
screw
enough.
you.
You're not on the level
Screw
of
you.
Tandy just yet. So. So anyway,
but that was so cool. So she busts through that wall and then ties on the other side of it because he was coming for her and she was leaving it. And I love how they played it where like she escaped at the same time he came for her, so it wasn't like he didn't have to save her.
He was still throwing Johns out too, though, because he teleported in one room and he tossed one guy. He tossed one guy out the window, and I was like, they're cleaning the house. Like,
so yeah, it turned into the two of them saving all these girls together instead of like Ty having to come and save Tandy. It was the two of them meeting up at the same point. So good.
Yeah, that was really good. They met in like an empty motel room, and they're kind of reunited basically. But then all of a sudden, smoke just starts emitting out of Ty's mouth.
Aww.
And then he just collapses down, and Tandy catches him and is like, what's like worried about him, Ty, what's going on? And then they're transported to the Shadow Realm again, and they pan out and you see just like,
are they?
Yeah.
I thought they were still in the real world and he was just like pouring out smoke.
No, because I even wrote in the notes, I can't tell what this set is. Like you see little bits of, it looks like a graveyard or something, and then like, but I couldn't tell where they were. Like it made no sense. So, he's just like, they pan out and there's smoke pouring from him, and it's kind of similar to the scene where he got shot in her mind basically, and she's kind of just holding him. And then they just cut off, and that's just it, right? The end of there. And I'm just like, how do you top yourself for the next episode? Like you've just gone further and further.
Every episode, like we say it every time, and it's like beginning to not mean anything. But every episode is better than the last,
and it's ridiculous how that is just like I don't think I've seen a show in a while that's like on this budget, on this level, do that. Like it's crazy that they've done that, and I don't understand how more people aren't talking about this thing. Like it's ridiculous. It should be definitely. And I was so upset too because when I saw that action sequence, I was like, why weren't they in Endgame? Like I really wanted that. Like that would have been so cool. Like just do a little nod. Just have them come through a portal or something like that, and then have them forget on the next something. I don't know. Just do something. But I was like, yeah, this is hands down one of my favorite episodes this season.
Yeah, this might be one of my favorite episodes of the show.
Yeah, I'll even go that far too, because like it brought me back to the same time when I first saw Ty use his ability to absorb Connors in season 1, and I was like, oh, they're really going fully into their powers as opposed to him just teleporting everywhere. Okay, this is dope. So it brought me back to that. Tandy getting her abilities back whenever Dale was like, I have hope. And I was like, okay, chills right there.
So fucking good. What a fantastic episode.
Right there. And so
oh my God.
I didn't get to see what happened like for the next week or whatever.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, I'm just trusting that this is it's just good. Like I don't understand, how it can go down. But I'm glad how they handled this very heavy subject.
Yeah.
They did it very tastefully. And I don't know. I don't even know where you go from here, because like we didn't show anything more on Despair after he dealt, had his dealings with Evita's aunt. So he's still out there doing his thing. I don't know what the verdict is on Connors. Besides maybe he might get to eat some crab cakes.
Well, we've got 3 episodes left.
It's only 3 episodes left.
Yep.
Man, what are the what's the name of the next episode?
Let's find out.
Because I know I was reading it before, and I saw, crap, what was it? The very last episode, I think, is called Level Up.
Yeah, the last episode. So the next episode is called Two Player.
Okay. Oh, and I don't know what's up with these video game references. What are we doing here? What are we doing?
I don't know. No. So the next episode is I can't talk.
You're right.
Episode 8 is called Two Player. Episode 9 is called Blue Note, and episode 10 is called Level Up.
Man, I can't wait.
And I don't know who writes and directs these because they're all TBA on the Wikipedia.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they're probably out. The Wikipedia just never got updated.
That's interesting. I would think they would have that info like, because like everything is filmed already. It's not like they're filming as they're going.
Right. Nah, I think the wiki just hasn't been updated. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. Next episode is written by Joe Pakaski.
Uh-oh.
And directed by Jessica Borzysky? Borzysky?
Yeah.
Jessica B.
Jessica B. Yeah, okay. There you go. All right, let's end this with predictions then. We have a setup where we know right now. What do you think's happening next week?
I think so. I'm trying to figure out what it would have been that caused Ty, because I feel like his, like the smoke coming out of him, it's like that dark zone like leaking out of him. So like what happened that we didn't see?
Yeah.
Like what happened in there? Yeah. I think Mayhem kind of went to town on some shit.
Do you think her wrecking all those records may have had some type of, I
don't know
effect?
What it was, but I think she has something to do with it.
Okay, so I initially thought that's Ty being exhausted. Like his emotions are in overdrive. They've kind of been toyed with this whole episode, from despair to mayhem. Just he's kind of not had really control over his emotions, and then him rushing into this battle and her playing hype music, Mayhem playing hype music the whole time. I thought maybe they just turned his whole powers into overgear, and then he's just like exhausted. But then when I saw that he was spilling out a whole bunch of smoke everywhere, I was like, no, this is something different. So I don't know. And then them, like I said, them being in the dark realm and the next thing, like what's going on? They're still kind of in. Are they still in the real world? Are in the hotel? So where are we? I don't know. I don't know where we're going there. I think the mom's going to finally just break down and take the dude to the police in the next episode. I
don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how Connors is going to play out.
I don't know how long he could get stayed captive with two. Right. Like the dad had him for a while, now the mom has him for a while. We passing him around. Well, you got to
think, like, how is this going to be prosecuted? Like,
they still need that major
how that
evidence.
Works out.
They still need that the smoking gun, basically.
Which I guess Billy's body.
Yeah. That
would be a good one.
So maybe that's what it is. She'll take him there, and then he'll confess to where he knows where they buried the body, and that'll just kind of open the floodgates to everything. So I don't know.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very much excited. Well, we have to wait till next week, of course. Again, as always, thank you, Emma.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's very much a pleasure watching these shows and doing this. I love it so much. So we will see everybody next week, where you hear the recap of episode 8 of Cloak and Dagger from Emma and I. All right.
Angel and Shadow.
Angel and Shadow. Later.
Bye.